This episode is brought to you by our friends at Express. And look, a large chunk of my wardrobe is brought to you by Express as well. And that's even before they came on as a sponsor. Button-down shirts, so many Express shirts in the closet. Got a couple of blazers. My favorite blue blazer is an Express blazer. I've had it for years, and it's one of my absolute favorites. For me, the absolute most comfortable pair of jeans that you can find is an Express pair of jeans. I didn't even buy these in store. I bought these online, and they're still unbelievably comfortable. Absolutely love all the styles you can find at Express. And the detail is amazing. You got collar details on a polo. You got new patterns like florals and geometric and stripes. Everything you can possibly imagine. Suits, denim, all the good stuff is available at Express. Find an outfit for every destination at Express, online or in store.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
If you have been following our show for a while, you know who this guy is, and you really saw him promise you that he was going to build an alternate wrestling league that would compete with Vince McMahon, and a lot of people laughed at him, and Vince McMahon left some openings for him to create a business that now works in the streaming age, where Tony Khan invented a second league to run opposite Vince McMahon, who you can't compete against because he had a monopoly, basically invented the sport. Tony Khan is with us now, and I want to talk to you about what Vince has done. You've always been very polite. Thank you for being on with us. You've never ripped them. You've been in competition with them, and you've been very gentle with them. But now Vince McMahon finds himself in what appears to be real trouble. I never thought he'd quit. Did you?
I did not. I did not ever think we'd see a world in which Vince McMahon would voluntarily step down. But I am also very excited about what's happening in the world of pro wrestling all over the world, including here in AEW. There are a lot of exciting things happening in the world of pro wrestling outside of those things you just mentioned. And right now with AEW, you know, we've been working with wrestling companies all over the world, opening what I call the forbidden door, creating partnerships, doing things almost the exact opposite of the blueprint that he had set. And I really, hopefully it's a good thing for the wrestling industry now that changes.
The forbidden door, that sounds wonderful, the forbidden door. But what is the forbidden door you're opening there? Because wrestling is, a lot of wrestling is going, I mean, hell, he was taking money. He was taking a good amount of blood money.
Well, the forbidden door is working together with other wrestling promotions or bringing in wrestlers or people that would normally not work together. So, for example, we've worked really closely with New Japan Pro Wrestling overseas, with AAA Lucha Libre in Mexico, and we've brought in a lot of their wrestlers, and we've sent a lot of our great stars down to them. And it's been like a talent trade, a partnership. And, you know, it's not like me trying to run them out of business or screw them over. We've had some really good collaborations. And in addition to international wrestling promotions, some of the smaller domestic wrestling companies that have a lot of great things to offer, we've worked with some of them. And then another wrestling company that had been around for 20 years was called Ring of Honor. And a lot of their stars had frankly migrated to AEW or WWE. And they had run shows through the pandemic, tried to keep the company going. It was owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, and that company had hit tough times. So I purchased that company earlier this year and have reimagined and relaunched that company. And Ring of Honor is also working with AEW. So AEW has partners all over the world. And it's almost the opposite philosophy as a lot of the wrestling fans who watch your show, or even Mike in the studio could tell you there, the way that the empire of the WWF was built, the WWF crushed a lot of wrestling promotions in its wake. And, you know, my goal is hopefully to keep a lot of wrestling promotions around the world alive and working with AEW and supporting wrestling all over the world.
Tony, have you ever had any sort of interaction with Vince? I'm wondering if you have, and if you had, how'd it go?
No, I've never met him in my life.
No?
Not once ever.
Okay. Bad question. Well, especially when the answer's no.
Right.
I was hoping for an interaction where he just crushed you.
Yeah. Tony could have made up a good answer, but he chose not to.
Yeah, he did.
Well, you want me to lie?
Responsible. I mean,
That's why you guys like me.
Well, how does he feel about you, or how do you imagine he feels about you? Because you are a competitor, and look, it's real interesting at the end to see that because his company lagged creatively, he left you an opening. Because his company lagged in signing some of his stars, he left you an opening. Does he hate you?
I don't know about that. They definitely are probably focused on their own stuff right now. And there's a lot of positive things happening around their company too. So, with the changes that have been made, honestly, now he's probably not the person I'm thinking about so much anymore because he's not in the chair anymore. And for a long time, he was in the chair. And I think nobody's ever had a run like the one he's had. But there are a lot of other smart people in that business. And, I'm sure they're going to rebound and do a lot of good things. For us, it's a big week. We've got our show on TBS this week, Fight for the Fallen. And it's one of our biggest events of the year. And with a lot of big championship matches, also one of the biggest stars in modern pro wrestling, Bryan Danielson, is coming back this week, tomorrow night on Wednesday Night Dynamite on TBS. Bryan Danielson, somebody who's really well known, not just to the AEW fans, but also the WWE fans. And really, if there's ever been an example of the wrestling fans rallying around a wrestler and telling the promotion, honestly, specifically telling Vince McMahon that, hey, this guy is a star. You need to get behind him and book him in the big matches, give him these opportunities. He's going to come through. And that's Bryan Danielson. He's come to AEW now. He's one of our great stars. He's been out injured for 2 months, and his comeback match is tomorrow night. So there's a lot of exciting things happening in wrestling, including in AEW. But certainly everybody in wrestling is probably also keeping an eye on those changes you're asking about.
You're doing something real interesting here, and I'm going to make you stop doing it right now, all right? You've promoted your stuff, and I know how great your stuff is. We've promoted your stuff as well. I want to know about the legacy of McMahon. I want to know if you expect that business to be sold. I want to know what competition is going to look like for you the next 5 years. As you say, you're buying businesses to support this project of yours. Like, are you coming for them?
Are you asking me, am I interested in buying them?
Start there.
I don't know. I don't want to piss off the SEC, and I have to be really careful what I say about publicly traded companies. I mean, I don't know if they're for sale. If they were, I think there'd be a lot of very interested parties and a lot of people who had the financial capital. So it would certainly be something to keep an eye on if the price was right, like it was with Ring of Honor. But it would be a very, very different price, I assure you. And that being said, I keep an eye on the competition, but for us, it's interesting because wrestling in the 90s was ultra competitive because the shows were on at the exact same time. You had Monday Night Raw and Monday Nitro on head to head. It's not really like that now. And the wrestling world, it's not necessarily something where if they do a good rating, it's bad for us, or if we do a good rating, it's bad for them. It's a bit more of a world where people can coexist now than it was 20, 25 years ago.
Tony, a lot of the wrestlers that you've signed that have come from WWE have had a lot to say in interviews about the culture over at WWE, about the cult of personality that Vince McMahon was. Now that he's out of the way and they're bringing in a new era, are you kind of worried that WWE will be a legitimate competitor, even more so for some of the talent that you're eyeing?
Yeah, I do think that's a possibility, but the good news for me is a lot of the talent you're probably thinking of have really long contracts. So I bet there's a couple names you're going to ask me about or you're even thinking of.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
5 years.
Ask some of the names. Is there tampering in this sport? No.
I mean, FTR have been very public about their problems, and they, if you saw, like prior to this amazing run that they're going on in ring, where they're certifiably the best tag team in the world, it felt like one of the members publicly I'm not putting words in his mouth, publicly shared some frustration about how things were going about their run prior to this amazing launch pad that they went on with AEW.
That was a real thing. Yeah. That was a real thing. And Dax had a hard year last year, and he's also been really open about that. Mike, you probably saw the press conference we did the other night. So I think it's come across the last few pay-per-views. I think I built a really close relationship with both of them. And I really, really like Dax and Cash both very much. And I always have. Dax had a tough year last year. And also, as the company was going through a transition with CM Punk coming in, Bryan Danielson coming in, Adam Cole coming in, it was an exciting year. And as the company was changing, their place in the company changed, and honestly, for the better.
Yeah.
And I was talking to them. You remember when they did the thing when they won the Lucha Libre AAA belts and they snuck up on the luchadors with the green masks, the frog masks?
Yes.
That was really me trying to start something new. And that was, even though that hasn't definitely not been the best thing they did in the last year, it was something different, and it got them moving in a different direction. And then since then, they've done a lot of really exciting things. They won the AAA tag belts, and then they've gone on this run of winning championships around the world in New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor and chasing all the gold. And I think this has been the run of their careers. Dax individually has also been in some great, great singles matches. Cash, we saw the great match with Jeff Cobb, but Dax has had a run of great singles matches against a lot of our best wrestlers. The team is firing on all cylinders better than they ever have. So I think the three of us are happier working together than we ever have been. And probably the only time it was ever really a rough patch, I really thought, was a year ago. And that was probably a mix of, I think Dax needed to get himself better, feeling better. Like I don't want to put words in his mouth because he said all this, even just Saturday night, that, he wasn't feeling well and talked about getting on medication and seeing a doctor. And then when he really got himself right, I've been more focused on them than I had been. And I think the last year they've been doing better than ever.
Briefly, we'll get into some Jags questions because there's an ongoing beef on the show with Tony Baselli, who I know you know very well. It was reported over the weekend that you got into a heated backstage discussion with the former ROH champion, who then later requested his release, according to reports. And now a lot of Triple H has a lot of personal relationships, being that he ran developmental. Are you legitimately concerned that people are going to start looking at WWE and start asking for their releases a little bit more?
It depends on who it is, and it depends on who the person is, if I would grant them their release or not. But I don't think those two situations had anything to do with each other. Keep an eye on it. I don't think that's going to be dots that will connect. And I definitely think that it's probably going to be a change in the management philosophy. I would totally think. That being said, I'm not sure it's going to be a bad thing for AEW, but I do think it'll be a good thing for the wrestling fans because the competition is going to change, and probably in a way that will be good for the fans.
Tony, true or false question. In 10 years, does Tony Khan think he might be presiding over all of wrestling?
No, probably not. I think that there will always be multiple wrestling promotions, and that's part of why I came along, is because really no one person should be presiding all over all of wrestling. And I've almost gone to a great lengths to make sure there are other viable wrestling promotions all over the planet by sending our wrestlers and, exchanging videos and working together. So I definitely don't want that. I think it would be great if there are wrestling companies all over the world working together. And I would like for AEW to eventually be the number one wrestling company in the world. That is my dream. But right now, I'm also very happy with our place in the space. When we launched this promotion, and I think I may have said this to you like over 2 years ago, probably close to 3 years ago, Dan, when I launched this, I told my dad and also the people at TBS and TNT, what if I told you that we could be the Pepsi of pro wrestling, a multi-billion-dollar industry that is pro wrestling, and we could be a very large player in it, a challenger brand, not just a challenger brand, but a really, really strong challenger brand. And people ask me why, sometimes I would even talk about the competition. Well, part of it is I have to get good interviews because I want to be on great shows like yours, Dan, and you're going to ask me about them. So I can't just dance around it and get boring answers. So I in promoting my own show tomorrow night on TBS with AEW, I also am going to have to answer some spicy questions and talk about them. So I know that's part of how it goes. But, another reason is when I got started with this, I got handed a book about marketing from Warner Brothers before the merger, before Discovery came in and took over the management. And they talked to me about being a challenger brand. What is a challenger brand? Is that a term you guys have heard much? You guys familiar with that?
No, I have not heard that much. But what you're saying is there's plenty of room at the trough for Pepsi. Pepsi makes plenty of money.
Well, they told me, they showed me different examples. Pepsi's one way to go. Another one they showed me is Burger King, who are a very aggressive challenger brand. Now, what is Burger King's marketing? It's basically McDonald's sucks, guys. Like, that's basically what their marketing is. And that's a challenger brand in a lot of ways, and that's one way to do it. I try to make our challenger brand more about what we're doing at AEW and not about smearing the competition, because a lot of times they do good things. You can't say that everything they do is bad. That would be total BS. So I really, even though I am here to talk about AEW, I definitely find myself answering questions about who we challenge.
Well, I'm doing this, though, because you care about this sport. You know what just happened this week, Tony. I mean, Vince McMahon was you before you, and you've chosen to do it a different way. Like you probably put a lot of words in my mouth, my friend, that I would not say he and I, he was me or I am him, or I'm just saying that he is the head of a wrestling brand and you have decided to do it differently than him. He was very much in front of the camera as a character, and you philosophically, emotionally, spiritually have learned what not to do. You never say that, but I can put those words in your mouth because you're talking about the spirit of camaraderie, and Vince McMahon would probably tell you to go bleep yourself, that he doesn't want to be comrades with you. That is probably true. But it's a new day. As they would say, and I'm looking forward to competition going forward. I have nice things to say generally about their management now. So at least on the wrestling side. Percentage of chance Tony Khan owns WWE in 5 years as well, or 10 years. It's in the eye of the beholder. It's like you asking me if we're going to trade for a player on another team. That is completely up to another party. Just like if they wanted to sell their company, I am a person here whose family would potentially have the money to look at it. But on the other hand, they might not have any interest in doing that. And I wouldn't blame them. I have no interest in selling AEW. We have no interest in selling any of our sports teams. But Tony, didn't you think, though, I thought, you tell me, you're more informed than me, business better and wrestling. Did you not think that the reason he jumped ship is because they've got to get to the price point that they want to get to, and he would never have left otherwise, that they have to strip it down and make it maximum value? Isn't that what they're in the process of? I think the best thing for me to do to avoid getting into a very sticky amount of trouble here would be having Mike. Mike, you're a third party. Mike, why don't you give the explanation here so I don't get all the heat?
A good job out of you, Tony.
It should be noted, though, that it is a publicly traded company, which is why there are potholes for Tony Khan. But it does also open up the door for a wrestling storyline type hostile takeover, such as Elon Musk.
It's unbelievable. Can you believe? Imagine.
You just show up live from Daytona via simulcast.
There's no hostile takeover. It says like 80% of the voting stock. Like, there's no hostile takeover. I mean, like it's a totally different thing than like an episode of Succession where the company's is in play and they only have 30-something% of the stock. Like, I mean, he holds all the cards here. I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens going forward. But that being said, I think for the wrestling fans, it's not going to be a bad thing.
Tony, break some music news here, because I have spent more time at Dead & Company shows than I have in this studio this summer. And for those who don't know, Tony owns the agency that manages Dead & Company. And this is before we get to the Jags and Dan's bashing of Tony Baselli. Calm Deadhead fans down. Is Dead & Company breaking up or not? I need to know.
I don't think that's the case. I would know. I definitely don't think that. Why do you think that?
Because I hear rumors. I feel like Mayer might be tired. I know Bill's not feeling well, and it's my favorite band. It's my favorite thing to go do. My wife has, become a fan of them as well, and I just don't want them to go away. Listen, it's not the Dead, but it's the closest damn thing I've ever heard to the Grateful Dead. So,
well, I hope they're together for a long time.
Okay, but you said they will be, right?
That's my hope. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't be. I got to get Bernie on this. Bernie would be great. He's our actual manager.
All right. I'll talk to Bernie.
You got it's you boys.
I've seen a few shows with Bern.
I need Stugotz Gemalo to back away from the microphone
this
here.
This is important, Dan.
I understand. You've asked enough Dead and Company questions.
You asked enough follow-ups on WWE.
One dead.
Because I think this guy's going to be running the sport soon. That's why. It's because if he's not already, he told us 3 years ago. He promised us 3 years ago that he was going to build this, and it's all gone faster than he thought. It's been more successful than he thought. In the streaming age, you've got a competitive wrestling company, and your family has some of the rare football money needed to make purchases like this. There aren't that many who can.
That's true. I think one of the reasons the company was together, so strong through this all was the pandemic really helped the company come together and brought a lot of the wrestlers and staff together. And also, Dan, you don't seem like, I think I gave this analogy to you once in our personal lives, but I don't think I've ever done this on the show before. Do you remember the Star Trek analogy I gave you? I don't remember if you're a big Star Trek guy.
I am not, but I remember talking about Star Trek. Yes. What was the analogy?
Yes. It was the Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. I'm looking at the guys in the studio, and some of them seem to be familiar with what I'm about to say. If there's a scene in The Wrath of Khan where Captain Kirk, the Enterprise, they're like completely outgunned. Their opponent has a lot more equipment. Their shields, their weapons are better. They're less beat up. And they go into this nebula because in the nebula, nobody will be able to see anything. None of their stuff's going to work. And it kind of evened the odds. And I felt like that was a lot of the shutdown for AEW. I think creatively, it really leveled the playing field for us in a lot of ways.
Did you know that Ricardo Montalban had a prosthetic chest in that movie? That chest was not real. You knew this? You knew this, did you?
Yeah, I did, but I don't. So if you don't like Star Trek, how did you know that?
Well, just because I remember the steamy Corinthian leather that was his hairy chest.
What are you guys talking about?
The Wrath of Khan. It was the best of those movies.
What?
That's from Seinfeld. The thing going on in the business, Dan, it's been a lot of change in the last few years, but that's something the wrestling business needed. I think it was very stagnant for over 15 years, and I think the growth of AEW has been a really good thing, and hopefully there'll be a lot of good changes around the industry. But when you ask me about like what's going to happen with their company or what's going to happen, I think it's a lot of times in sports, if there's an aggrieved party, if there's like changes in an organization, people are always looking at trade destinations, free agent destinations. But, it always takes at least two parties to make a deal. And I think in this case, the family that owns that company has a long history, generations in the wrestling business, and they probably will have generations more in the wrestling business.
30 seconds or less. McMahon legacy.
Grew the wrestling business on television more than anybody else ever has. And the growth that he helped launch in this business as a television industry is probably more than everybody else in the history of the wrestling business combined. And I don't think I'd be understating it to say that he was has been one of the most influential figures in American entertainment. And whether you consider wrestling a sport or not, I think in the world of sports, he's also been one of the most influential people. Ask any athlete on the planet, and they all are very familiar with his product.
Tony, I'll allow you to respond to this. Dan put up a poll question saying that he thinks that no Jacksonville Jaguar should ever be allowed in the Hall of Fame. Your thoughts?
Well, that's ridiculous. And now, thankfully, they didn't go with Dan's take on it because Tony Baselli is, of course, in the Hall of Fame. And we got the Hall of Fame game coming up next week. Dan, are you coming?
Stugotz is negotiating to come with Baselli.
Wait, how is Dan getting the invite? I got Baselli in the Hall of Fame. I think all Jaguars should be in the Hall of Fame. Dan, you can be my +1. I mean, how about that? Tony will get his friends and family tickets.
Are you going up, Tony? We go up on the private plane and we'll do Baselli's after party, you and me?
Yeah, you know what? Come to Wednesday Night Dynamite on TBS in Columbus next week, and then we can drive over to Canton together on Thursday for the game.
All right, I'm in. And I got a directee now. I mean, how about that?
This is the backstory, okay, Tony? We love Baselli here. You can't repeat it. You can't listen to me. You can't repeat this to anybody. It has to be our secret, okay?
We're on TV.
No, well, whatever. No,
Tony, between us.
But Jacksonville Jags fans don't understand what we were doing yesterday. Stugotz is trying to strong arm his way into friends and family in Baselli's circle on Saturday night. He's trying to make all sorts of demands. He wants flight arrangements. He wants all sorts of deals, and he wants Baselli to mention him in the speech. And so because Baselli isn't answering and is calling me an ass, I threatened him by saying that Stugotz was going to revoke a Hall of Fame membership that Stugotz got him in the first place. I was going to do it by saying no Jacksonville Jags and mounting that campaign. So as a wrestling fan, I'm going to put up billboards in Canton and Jacksonville that say Baselli is not a Hall of Famer.
I don't think that's a good idea, Dan. I don't think you want to be
and Jacksonville.
It's funny.
There too.
You don't think it's funny now Jacksonville came after us. They're poisonous. I did not know
they came after you.
Well, but it's not my fault. You're saying it's me, but it's your fault. I was doing it as a joke.
Well, I think the people in Jacksonville are very proud of Tony Baselli and his accomplishments, and they should be. We're all really proud of Tony. He's a great person, and he's a legend in Jacksonville football, USC football, and it was really special that his Hall of Fame induction came the year of the LA Super Bowl, that we were able to celebrate Tony getting into the Hall of Fame at USC on his campus. It was awesome.
Stugotz, why did you leave my side so quickly there and announce that all Jags should be in the Hall of Fame?
I got carried away. I mean, Tony's on. I got carried away.
Toby Gerhart a bust in Canton.
Perhaps we draw the line at Toby Gerhart. Okay?
All Jags should be in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, Jimmy Smith
there
should be in.
There are other Jags who should be in the Hall of Fame.
Name one.
Ask this. Who are the only two players in the history of the National Football League ever to carry the ball over 2,500 times? And who are the only two to ever maintain an average over 4.6 yards per
Fred
carry?
Taylor's a Hall of Famer, but Baselli's not.
Thank you. Barry Sanders and Fred Taylor was the answer to that question. So you knew that.
It was Toby Gebhart.
Gerhart.
Whatever. Hall of Famer.
Tony, thank you for being on with us, sir.
Jimmy Smith,
we appreciate it. I hope it wasn't too much of a bad drink. Good talking to you, and we'll figure out how Stugotz will stand you up on his way to Canton.
No, that's great. I wanted to come back, and I'd love to be here for a Game Notes again sometime. Game Notes is the highlight of my week.
Well, thank you, Tony. Private jet to Canton, me and you. What do you think?
Let's just sit there, and I'll do the beep, the whole.
I'll do them live in a PJ if you want.
Love
yeah, I will do them the entire flight if you would like that, huh? I will. Just for you. A show just for you.
A little private show.
PJ observations. How about that?
PJ.
It was longer than the flight from Columbus to Canton, so I think I'm going to drive, pal, and save some jet fuel.
See you later, Tony.
We'll drive together, road trip.
Before you go, I'm going to include you in on this bit of news here. You're going to enjoy it because this is going to thrill Mike Ryan. And I can't believe it's this easy after the pandemic and vaccines and everything else and arguing in public and stupidities. Aaron Rodgers has got me back.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
It was a hell of a welcome into training camp.
It's just how he walked in. Have you heard how he walked into training camp? Because Mike Ryan was saying how jacked he was in Tahoe, and now he walked in looking purposely. What is the name of the character in Con Air, Mike, that Nick Cage played? It's Cameron.
Cameron Poe.
Yeah.
Cameron Poe, July 14th.
He's walked into camp as Cameron Poe from Con Air, and that's it. Like, my every principle goes out the window. That's funny. He's in costume.
I can tell you this, though. Aaron doesn't want you back.
I know.
I know.
You might be back, but he wants nothing to do with you.
Yeah, it was a pretty cold welcoming to Tahoe that we got courtesy of Aaron Rodgers.
I lose again.
He's okay with me, by the way.
How great is that, Tony? How great is it to walk into camp making fun of everybody as Cameron Poe, one of Nicolas Cage's best characters that doesn't involve, a pig.
Yeah, I definitely think it was great. Great. I haven't seen it yet, but Con Air is definitely one of the best Nick Cage movies. I think the only thing he could have done that would have been better if he produced a twin brother like adaptation. Mike could have walked in with him. People say Mike looks like Aaron Rodgers, so he could have brought a Donald.
Question: do you call your private jet Con Air?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You do, don't
Amazing.
you? Con Air.
Can't wait to fly
I
that
didn't
thing.
get that name, but after post Con Air, I felt like there's not a lot of options.
Yeah, you have to.
That's pretty good right there. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. You are our second favorite con in wrestling.
What?
I'll see you next week, Tom.
See you later.
It was half of our agent.
Nick Khan is running the whole place now. How did that happen? See you later.
I thought we were friends.
We are, Tony, me and you. See you next week.
You and me are.
But I was his client.
Stugotz here for my friends over at Simply Safe. Around here, we talk a lot about the importance of good defense on the field or court. But what about defending your own home turf? Pretty important, huh? We believe home should be the safest place on earth for every family, which is why I use and recommend Simply Safe Home Security. Simply Safe is advanced whole home security that puts you, your home, and your family's safety first. Here's why I love it. Easy to install. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And I love to be able to keep an eye on my driveway to see what packages are coming up, keep an eye, see when the kids get home, when I'm away. I love Simply Safe. It is amazing. Simply Safe offers comprehensive protection, not only against intruders and burglary, but against expensive home hazards from flooding to fires with 24/7 professional monitoring. Simply Safe's agents take action the moment a threat is detected. You can customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/DLB. Go today and claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring. Again, that's simplysafe.com/DLB.
When you shop at Walmart, you get it. Spend a little less on dorm must-haves.
8 a.m. class, 8 ounces of caffeine.
A room that finally feels just like home.
And create a space that's a little more you. With bedding from $5 and appliances from $9. Save money, live better. Walmart.
Dan Le Batard.
We like to call this one a chorus of Owen Wilson. Ready?
Stugotz.
Wow. 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 Wow.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
We're presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Dan for a special offer when you sign up. That's code Dan, only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Billy, what has been negotiated now? What are we doing with Baselli? Are we gonna put up billboards? Are we going by private jet? What are we negotiating here? Stugotz says he wants to hold signs up in the friends and family that just say Le Batard is an ass.
Yeah.
He wants to make the entire.
They bash you and Bruce Smith.
Well, it seems like you will be going, and Stugotz will not be going.
That's hilarious that Dan got the invite.
It is.
Great.
Which would you want to go to less, Dan? The Hall of Fame or an AEW event?
In Columbus.
Or just Ohio.
Ohio's
They're both
a
in
great
Ohio. Sorry.
Do you think Tony Khan just knew that the Jags were going to play in the Hall of Fame? He was like, I'll just schedule a show in Columbus. That's the marketing strategy for AEW is just what's closest to the next thing I got to be at.
Yeah, and next year he's got to be there for LeBrandon Tofield's induction.
Would you put Jaguars in the Cat Hall of Fame?
Ooh, 100%.
Oh, yeah, big
I don't
They
know.
have to be.
yeah.
First ballot, I think.
yeah.
First ballot Cat Hall of Fame.
Is there
at
a big
Jaguars?
cat?
yeah.
Is there a big cat wing?
No, it's all the same. Just general cats.
Galarraga. I mean, come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right, so who's going in the Big Cat Hall of Fame? It's Andres Galarraga. Wasn't there was another big cat? There have been a couple of big cats as nicknames. Have there not been, or is Galarraga the only one?
I think it's just Galarraga.
No. In the Hall of Fame, who do you got, Billy?
You have multiple big cats?
There's a lot of cats. There's Ernest the Cat Miller, Julie the Cat Gaffney.
You've got leopards, jaguars, and cougars, correct, Billy?
Well, tigers I would put in before all of those.
Lions and tigers, first
yeah,
ballot.
first ballot.
So you don't have Jags in the Hall of Fame, so no Jags of any
Not
kind in
first
any Hall of
ballot.
Fame.
Second ballot.
Maybe. I could be talked into it, maybe. I think.
I'm looking at a list of the top 8 deadliest cats, and Jaguars don't even make the list.
That's what I'm saying.
Top 8 deadliest cats. Number 8, Chris Whittingham.
The bobcat.
Oh, please. Oh, give me a break.
What do you mean give you a break?
Small, too small
They
to
are
be
too
dangerous.
small, way too small. Jaguar's way bigger.
Size of a dog.
Again, it's not about the size of the prey. It's about the
size of the
Chris
fight.
Whittingham, that thing will grab you by the neck and climb you up a tree. Give me a break.
Number 7, Tony, very aggressively pro big
Yeah,
cat.
he is.
What's the comment? I don't even understand it.
The tiger.
Number 7 is the tiger? Number 7?
Go Tigers.
Disrespect.
5 to 10% success rate.
Number 6.
Puma.
Okay, you know exactly what you're doing.
Puma.
You asshole.
That's just
wrong with you?
assholery.
Puma.
Just straight assholery. Puma was so unnecessary. Look at him. He's just laughing at himself because of what an asshole he is.
Dan, Dan, I've been around him a lot. He does Nike instead of Nike, and he does Adidas.
What?
He does Adidas instead of Adidas.
Straight asshole.
Nike.
It's unbelievable. That Puma, you couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't. Number 5 is lion.
You ain't lying.
No, God.
He was so proud of it. He was waiting on it.
For sure
He
that was coming.
Yeah.
It's like I traveled back from the future to know that you were going to say he
Even
ain't
if Lion
lying.
wasn't one of them, he was going to say it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. You haven't
He
said
did
it.
his job.
You
I'm
haven't-
just kidding around.
He's back.
Look at that.
Number 4.
The domesticated cat.
No, come on. You
I mean,
can't
that
have
cat's
a
not that big. I mean,
domesticated
come on, what's going
cat
on
over
here?
a tiger?
This is a 32% success rate in hunting its prey.
What are they,
This
Siamese?
is on
Success rates of what?
A2Zanimals.com.
Wow.
But what are they
just-
being successful
He
at?
just said killing. He just said tiger was 5 to 10% kill rate.
There's Dan Cats
Oh,
from Part of My Take. He's a big
Oh,
cat.
yeah.
Jonathan Katz.
Shout.
What else do you have there?
Number 3 is leopard.
Leopard, pumas, jaguars.
Number 2 is cheetah.
Oh, yeah. Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill. Oh, sorry. Steve Martin.
Oh my God, you were too slow.
I was looking
You
up
were
cats.
too slow.
I know.
Greg Cody
He
was
got me.
better. It's
What an
Stugotz.
embarrassing day.
Oh my God.
Should be ashamed
You
of
were so
yourself.
lazy. Your window was left open and Cody got to it
Oh, my
first.
God.
Holy
So
shit.
sorry.
You ain't lying.
Wow.
Bomb back.
Wow.
Yes.
Number 2,
Number 1 is the black-footed cat.
Christmas.
I had some big cats in sports. Nicknames here. Johnny Bench was named the big
What?
cat. Yep. This is real Wikipedia. Yeah.
That doesn't count.
That
Hard
doesn't
to
count.
believe. Never heard him called that.
Never.
Ernie Ladd. Ernie Ladd was called the big cat. Yeah. Leon Lett. Jamal McGlure.
Wrong way let.
Oh, that's right. McGlure,
McGlure,
not a big
yes.
cat Hall of Famer though, right? Because I don't have McGlure as I've got him as a one-time All-Star.
Johnny Mize.
The big cat.
Oh, yeah.
Rayfield Wright.
The big cat.
And Andre Vasilevsky.
The big cat.
He shows up as Cameron Poe, Mike.
Yeah.
He shows
meant
up
to do
in tank top.
Tank top
It's
tucked
great.
into the jeans.
Yeah.
Dead giveaway. He should have had a bunny.
That's funny.
He's a funny guy.
Showing up at camp because his hair is greasy now. It's not just that. He's doing Cameron Poe on the plane. He's not doing Cameron Poe civilized person. He's doing the guy who took over Con Air.
Yeah. Well, who saved us all from Con Air.
Yeah.
I'm still very confused about how Cyrus landed in a pile driver.
The virus did land in a pile driver. Didn't he also fall on glass? Didn't he even Stugotz, you're moving so slow.
I am stuck on cats right now. I really am.
He got flung from a fire
From the
engine.
side.
Yeah,
From the side.
and he landed
was
off
killed-
of the old Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
He was killed 3 different cliched ways. He fell from a great height onto a spike. There was a pile driver. And also he was on something with the fire truck. It almost hit a bridge or something. Did it not? Was he not just going real fast and he hit the bridge while on the ladder?
He's on the fire engine ladder down Fremont Street, and apparently there's this this big dump next to Fremont Street. He gets flung from the fire engine and lands on a conveyor belt right directly under a pile driver, which crushes his head.
Did he fall on a spiked thing, or did he not fall on a spiked thing?
No. He fell on the conveyor belt, and then his face got crushed by the pile driver.
No, he was stabbed with a broken axe by Nicolas Cage on the fire engine.
He let out a good quality yell.
Yeah, he looked up to him like, ah! That yell was like 8 seconds.
It was John Malkovich.
Yeah, John Malkovich, yeah.
Which not exactly somebody that you would associate with villainy of the highest order.
I would. Maybe in a Shakespeare movie, but that's about it. Yeah,
I associate him with villainy a lot.
Yeah.
Very evil man. I think privately, too.
Ooh.
Stugotz.
He has a lair in his home. Just going to say that. I'm going to throw that out. John Malkovich has a lair.
You're stating that as fact?
Yeah, I think
Really?
he and
I'm
Willem
with
Dafoe
you.
have lairs.
I'm with you.
Defoe, definitely.
Nicolas Cage has to have a lair.
Yes,
No?
of course.
Right, that goes
He's
without
procured
saying.
several
Yeah.
across the world.
He must.
Yes.
Who else are we going with? Do you think that Keitel?
Harvey Keitel?
Harvey Keitel?
No.
A dungeon. He's got a dungeon.
No, I don't think so. No.
A lair. So what is in the lair? A velvety couch? A couch? Like what do you?
Oh, fossils. Torturing
Yeah,
devices.
torture
like
chamber.
A solid
A night
torture
suit.
rack.
A rack.
Yeah, night
Right.
suit. Yeah.
Oh wait a minute. That's Arthur Blank's house. Has the night suit.
Well,
The
He has a
full
lair.
night.
He has a lair.
That's a haunted mansion. That's a different.
Oh, yeah, that's different. That's different. You're right. You're absolutely right.
This
yeah.
is the entrance to Arthur Blank's house. You don't enter into a lair. A lair's in like a side room.
A lair needs to have a bookshelf
Underground.
as the
Yeah.
door,
Yeah.
and you pull out one of the books.
And there's a smell.
Secret door.
And
like in the Haunted
smoke.
Mansion. Yeah.
What does it smell like? The bat feces that McGill was talking
Guano.
about? An acidic, terrible smell that rots your house.
Guano.
Mothballs.
Ammonia.
Who else has a lair?
You're very upset about Blank's house.
Well, but I just feel like at the entrance, his was a fashionable house and it gave off 1800s, maybe a little medieval. And in the center of the house, near a couch that was velvety and covered in plastic, was we agreed on this, was a knight. And that's why the house was haunted. And that's why Arthur Blank
We agreed.
looks like we did agree on
No,
all
you're
of this.
right. We did agree.
We agreed on all
Maybe
of
there's
this.
an update.
And it wasn't a lair. And you can't. If a guy's got a knight in the living room, it's different than having a secret compartment or a bookcase or something else. These are two different things.
What's the color of the couch?
I was thinking red,
Gotta be red.
or like a purple or a mahogany, a burgundy of some sort.
Crushed velvet.
We agreed on all this.
It's mahogany. That's a fun.
What did I say?
Sometimes you pull down the sword of the knight, and then that leads you to like a
secret
secret
entrance.
lair.
Secret room.
So
Yeah.
who's
So
got
lay inside the Haunted
those?
Mansion,
Who's
yes.
got those? So give me those now. You've got Malkovich, you got Nicolas Cage.
Thad Mata.
Why does that Mata have
I
a
think Mike's right.
lair? What do you
know
mean?
it when you hear it.
What,
Yeah.
do you?
Yep.
Sure.
Does Dan Dockich have a lair?
No.
No.
He's got a broken garage door that he can't close, and he just drinks beer all. Well, actually, that's
It's a man
Greg
cave.
Cody.
It's Greg Cody.
Thank you. I don't have a lair. Charlie Sheen has a lair.
I don't know.
No, he's got a sex dungeon. That's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Is it different?
Yeah. Sex dungeon. Yeah.
Are they different things?
Yeah. Like, for example, Quinn Snyder, no lair. Sex dungeon.
Yeah.
Did someone say Urban Meyer?
Yes, Tony
Both.
shouted it.
That's a
yeah.
good one.
He has both.
Quinn Snyder, you guys need to look at photographs that are now circulating of what Quinn Snyder looked like when he took over the Jazz, and the hollowed out shell of Jazz basketball that has stolen his soul to make him someone who looks like an artifact. He was a boy wonder, and the Utah Jazz in 9 years of getting like
doing morning radio.
deep into the playoffs as he rubbed his lips with chapstick. That man has aged. And it's a mummification how much he's aged. He came into the league as a spry young man, and the stress, you can see it on his face. It's worn. He's
those
aged
uniforms.
25 years.